Hey, it's Curly. Today we're going to be playing around with some fish, and it's a pretty good bucket of fish we got here. Not gonna lie, we don't have the best starting hand here right now, but it doesn't help that we're playing against Royals. We actually have a decently good matchup against them, considering that we have the dual package to do stuff. But yeah, this is Labrador. We got some new support for the Labrador, which is a card from, I don't know, like set 9 or before that in the original, but there she is. From many years ago, I should say Prisms specifically. It's more support, not so much for Labrador. God, these 3 speakers kind of suck right now. But this deck is actually really nuts. I first saw this in, I think it was the championships for, I want to say it was the summer one. I'm not too sure about that. And I saw a couple of the players bring this deck, and I kind of based my build strictly off of that. That being said, there's not really, like, there's too much room for you to be able to change stuff, but essentially what this deck does is that it's able to very strangely have a G-unit that has Liver Break, but it lets you essentially attack and then re-ride a card and then be able to multi-attack that way, and it works really well with both the Vert here and the Labrador, because it counts as a break ride, and then the Labrador can get a crit and also call out cards, so you can actually get multi-attack that way. You also cycle through your deck like crazy, which is really good. So let's go over here and actually just throw out one of these Spikas here. We'll throw out another one here because we definitely want to see 2 things. We want to force this guy to maybe play another intercept and also push them a little bit, but it doesn't look like we're going to be doing too much of that second one there. But this really does suck. I do have like the dual PGs. I've been considering changing them, but it's worked out relatively well. The grade 2 space is really tight, so I'm only playing 2 Rions, which is what makes it pretty difficult to actually be able to do that stuff. But that's not really your focus, right? You're not trying to get super defensive and get PG, stall out. That's not at all what's going to happen here. No, you're just going to go balls to the wall, attack, right? In terms of power scaling, it's not as good as some of the other decks, such as Royals here. They can definitely power scale way better than we can. But we actually do have pretty favorable matchups against most of the decks that are out there. Just because of the fact that we can bounce and we can get powers, just obviously not constant 26k columns like Royals can. We're gonna lose 2 PGs. This is a bit unfortunate here. Let's see if we can get a Vert. No, we get another Labrador here, which is a bit unfortunate. We do get to Stride first, which is nice. You actually get to see the Labrador animation, which there actually is one. We're actually gonna discard this Labrador because Labrador herself actually has a, like a G-evolution here in this Stride here, which is a pretty decent stride. It's a nice first stride. What it can do is, on place, it can put back a copy of 3 of these cards, or a copy of these 3 different cards, I say, Labrador, Celtic, or Lelty. Doesn't matter which one of these. So it could be the older version or the new retains, which is nice. So you can put back this Intercept, for example, which is really nice. But I can't really do that right now. She also lets you let's do this just so I can search out the Vert. We can just put this back, which is fine. See if we can draw a heal. Don't really like that. She also lets you do this, where you can G-flip and pick 2 of your units. They get 5k. You also draw, and they also get the ability where they can actually bounce back to hand if you want to. So for some reason you just don't have anything, you can actually play down your PGs, swing in with them, bring them back, which is really cool. This is also really good against the Neo Nectar matchup, because that actually gives you a nice little boost in power. Like, this is already 21, which breaks through a full 3 board. But we're just gonna go ahead and swing in here. For the actual combo that I want to show off, it's looking a little bit rough at the moment, but we'll see what we can do. We'll swing in here. We'll bring this back to hand to draw 1. Okay, that's pretty good, and then that lets us counter charge. We're gonna bring that one back. We won't use this effect. So this, obviously, as you saw, on hit, if I have a prism, kind of last one to return a card, draw a card, and then when this is returned, I can counter charge, give something 5k. So you have a nice little synergy there. We're gonna leave the Celtic out for some defense here. That heal is very good. Very much need that, because we're more than likely gonna get pushed to 4 here, or 5 maybe next turn, we'll see. Ideally, I'm trying to get this Vert into my hand so I can break right over it, but you might have to do this without the break right. It's a little bit tricky because it doesn't give you as much power. But ideally what you want to do is you want to have your Vert as your Vanguard. You stride into the G-Vert. Then that actually lets you bring back the trigger, the grade 3 Vert back into your deck, same way as we just did with Labrador. But I guess he's going to the new stride, right? Yeah. This Vert, when she attacks, if you have a Prism Heart card, at the end of that battle, you discard 3. You can bring back 2 Prisms on your board to hand, and then you can ride any Prism from your deck. I think it's any Prism, right? Yeah, just any Prism. You just ride that. Typically, you'll go into, obviously, the Labrador, right? You want to break ride over Vert with Labrador. Vert says when you break ride, you draw 1 and you get 10k for your Vanguard. And when your Vanguard attacks, you can bring the stuff back to your hand, up to 2. Then Labrador says when she attacks, you can call, I think, up to 3 units from hand. And if you do, if they're all prisons, she gets either a crit only or 10k. She gets 10k and a crit, right? So that already bumps you up to 31k after your G unit attacked, which is really nice, right? So that's 10k on top of 10k and a crit. Plus, you got to bring out stuff to attack again. So if you're at 5, that's pretty huge, right? Because you got a PG check, another PG check with a crit, and then you got 2 additional attacks that can go in. And you cycle out through a lot of your deck and pretty much survive next turn since you discard 3, you draw 2, and then in the third one from Vert if you broke over it. So that's 3 cards. Typically by then you'll have most of your PGs unless you're like me and 2 of them went to damage, right? So you can typically survive next turn, which is really good. And then you kind of just finish it off with the classic Bermuda stuff with like Olivia or whatever the case may be. So it's pretty solid in that regard. It's very offensive, pretty defensive because you can put stuff back you don't typically deck out, which is really nice. I don't think I'm going to be able to do much here unless I can top deck a Vert, which I don't. And I actually instead end up discarding a Spica, which sucks for the end game here. But let's see what we can do here. We'll actually go into it anyways. We'll discard this. Stride Fodder here. Go into Sunshine Vert. We are going to draw into Rosa, which is actually kind of nice. So Vert can bring back Rosa, Clear, and Vert. Rosa here is our grade 2. She's pretty decent. I think we'll just do this, and probably discard the... do I have another Labrador in deck? I do have another Labrador in deck. As long as I don't check it, I'll probably write it from deck, maybe, because I might have to discard here. But we'll probably discard the Stride Fodder, probably the Spica, unfortunately, and then the Vert, or the Clear Rosa, right? Yeah. So let's go ahead and swing in here. We're definitely not going to be able to win this turn, but we can at least push for 5 and see if we can survive next turn. Probably not, unless we hit a heal. Asking you shall receive, I guess. Let's go ahead and heal up here. Ooh, that's actually pretty big. And I think kind of fucks us up. To be true, to be totally honest with you, shit. Because I can't do this again, unfortunately. It's because I only have 2 copies of her, and it's a G flip. Well, that's kind of awkward. Do I still have... Yeah, I think we discard this. Return these 2 to hand. We could technically write Vert, but let's ride this. Draw 2. We'll swing in. Since we don't have Break Ride, unfortunately we can't get the crit because it is on Break Ride, so that's why that double heal sucks. If I was on Vert, it would have sucked a little bit more, because I would have been forced to like rewrite Vert or something like that. But yeah, I did it because I did it anyways because I only have 2 copies of them, which means that if I didn't do it this turn, I would just ride into it again and not be able to G-flip. But essentially, that's what you would have done. You would go from Vert, break right over Vert with Labrador, swinging a bunch of times. Unfortunately, my heel screwed me up here, and my opponent's not sure what to do here because they see I had this fat hand, more likely a bunch of PGs, right? So they're going to choose not to stride here because they're playing, I guess, a bunch of the crits for some reason, and they're just going to somewhat deck me out here. Yep. I mean, that's kind of good that went to drop, so I don't have to worry about that getting checked and me losing. But this does mean here that I can't stride next turn. It's unfortunate. Because I'll take 1 for damage, be put to 3, draw for turn, be put to 2. So I'll take another draw, in which case I just lose next turn. Well, that sucks. I mean, I do have something I can do here. Obviously, we can't stride here, unfortunately. We usually don't get into this kind of a rough situation. But I just was not able to put any of my cards back, and I just absolutely screwed myself up. Not being able to heal, but what we can do here is we can still try and win here. Highly unlikely that we will, but we'll give it a good college try. We're gonna swing in here. We'll swing in here with Spica. We'll bounce this back. Fortunately, I don't have another Spica that I can use. We'll call out the Rosa, doesn't really matter. And we'll swing in with Rosa. And unfortunately, he does have the 3rd guard. And we might as well swing in. Because there's really not much that we can do. Unfortunately. In general, finding the right cards in hand in the deck is a little bit rough, because you do draw a bunch, right? Like, everything makes you draw, but at the same time, you need so many pieces in your hand, and you discard 3 at some point. So it's like this really weird balancing act that you have to do. But let's just go over to the deck really quickly. As I mentioned, the 2 main stars here are the Prism Image Vert. So when you break right over this, your Vanguard gets 10k. Of course, break right means you have to get a limit break. You draw a card, and then when it attacks a Vanguard, specifically, you can return 2 cards, or 2 rear guards, to your hand. That's it. You don't call them back out, you just return them back to your hand. Then Labrador says, on limit break, if you attack a Vanguard, you can return, or you can call up to 3 cards from your hand. It has to be in empty rear guard circles. And if you called 3 prisons, then she gets 10k in a crit. You can technically call out other stuff and not get the crit, so you can call out like Spikas, so that's an option too. She also has this new buff skill that they gave her a while back when they did the random buffs, where you can actually counterboss 1, return a rear guard to hand, and if you do, she can ignore intercepts for this turn, which is really interesting and can actually come in clutch sometimes in a couple of games. It's a nice little option there. And then I just play 1 copy of the Loris just so I don't get grade stuck. Because for the grade 1s, we are playing 4 copies of the Stride Fodder, because you do need to stride. We're playing 4 copies of the Prism Promise Princess Letty, I guess this is. So this is returned to your hand. If your Vanguard is a prison, you countercharge 1, which is really good. And then you also give something 5k. But for the rest of the turn, you cannot normal call a unit with this name for the rest of the turn. You can superior call, you just can't normal call it, right? So you can't, for example, use it with the starter, bring it back, and then call out again. So you gotta kind of remember that. We play 1 copy of the Clear here. I just wanted to play this just so that I can have something that goes back to deck with the Vert stride. I am playing the first lesson Akiri here just because it has retire protection. I think it's the only starter that does that, really. And the draw is nice sometimes. The balance is kind of whatever, but you can use it with like a combination of this to like give something power you really need to. Other than that, for the grade 2s, are somewhat standard here. We play 4 copies of the Celtic. This is one of my favorite cards. At least the original version was. I'm glad that she got an upgrade. When it's attack and it hits a Vanguard, you can counterblast 1. If your Vanguard is a prison, return something to your hand, draw a card. So that's kind of nice. It lets you early on get some draw. This isn't locked behind, GB or anything like that, so you can use this on turn 2, which is really, really good. Then we have the Sunshine Rosa, Prism Image Sunshine Rosa. This says whenever another rear guard is returned to your hand, if you have a unit with a limit break, so it doesn't have to be prison specifically, but with limit break, you can Soul Blast 1 and then have 1 unit and herself get 3k. So this is actually pretty decent. You can sometimes put this in a back row. This can proc continuously. Every time something is returned to hand, you can use this to just power up and get some power and like maybe some boosters and you bring back the front row, something like that. She also gets brought back with Vert. Right, so that's why we're definitely playing her. We're playing 4 of the Speaker. Once it attacks while boosted on GB1, you can counterblast 1 and return a unit from your field to hand, except herself, and then call out. But you can't call out herself. So essentially, you can bring back something to your hand and then call out something. The thing you bring back to your hand cannot be Speaker, but you can call out Speaker after that, right? And whatever it calls out gets 3k. So when your opponent's at 5, this is a nice way to push for multiple attacks. Then we just play 2 of the Rehone here. When this hits a Vanguard, you can counterblast 1, return a duel to your hand, and return a copy of that same card from your deck. Which is why we're playing for the dual PG. You really don't need countercharge at all, because you don't really use counterblast, and this refunds any counterblast that's being used. So you don't really need the countercharging PG. The new PG, the Harmony PG, I don't know if that really works that well with this deck. You're more than welcome to try it, but I don't think it synergizes as well. Then finally, the G-Zone here. We have 2 copies of Sunshine Vert. As I mentioned, this is Limit Break 4, which attacks. If you have a Prism Heart card, at the end of the battle, this unit attacks, you discard 3 cards and G-Flip. Then you can, if you want, return 2 prisms from your field. Then you can ride from anywhere, your deck or hand, not your drop, another prison, and then draw 2, right? So you do technically go -1, but you did bring 2 cards to hand, so it kind of really depends. So that's the tricky part. You have to make sure you have enough so that when you drive check draws, you have space in hand, but you also have to have cards that you can discard, and then have enough prisms to then play out afterwards, and also space to bring back 2 prisons and then draw 2. So you just got to make sure, keep a mental note of what your hand is going to look like, and try to think early on what you're going to discard and what you're going to play. Then we actually play 4 copies here of the Prism Promise Princess Labrador here. So this says if you're a Prism Heart card, you can G-Flip, draw a card, 2 units get 5k, and at the end of the battle, if they attack anything, could be a rear guard, you can choose to return that to hand. And then on place, you can bring back a Labrador, a Celtic, or a Letty from your drop. You can bring back 1 of each. You don't have to have all 3 in your drop. Same thing for Vert. It's a Vert, a Rosa, or a Clear. And this applies to both the retrained versions, the newer versions, and the older versions from before. Which is decent. Like this Clear here is actually an older version. There's a new Clear, which is actually like a crit trigger, I think. We're actually playing 4 of these just because of the Neonexture matchup. You can either try and blow them out early, or you can actually go through 2 Jingle Flower turns with Labrador, which is really nice because she gives you the 5k buff to 2 units, so that gives your column enough to hit through. And you have 2 of them to match up with the double Persona Blast that G-Persona Blast that Jingle Flower does, right? And then we actually have 4 copies of the Olivia here. I actually did have to splurge and get the summer one because I only had 3 Olivia. I pulled this one SP, then I crafted an SP. I managed to then eventually pull this other one, and I was like, shit, I should probably get another one. And there are situations where I have actually gone into both of these, so. But Olivia is basically your finisher. She says when she attacks a Vanguard, Generation Break 2, you counterblast 1, G-Flip, return any number of rear guards with different card names to your hand, right? And if you return 3 of them, you can call 2 of them you can call 2 cards. They have to be the same cards. You can call any 2 cards in different rows. So front and back row, right? And this unit gets a crit. So that's your finisher. And typically what you'd want to do is attack rear guards, go into this with Olivia, return your rear guards, play out a Spica and a booster for Spica, and then have another unit still remaining, going with the crit, and then Spica can swing in, bring back that unit that is still on board, and then play it, and then, Spica may or may not hit, and then you have that additional attack there, which is very nice. And then we have one of the harmonics, because fuck with Joker. And then finally, there's the Fluffy Ribbon So Many. So this you kind of just go to if you just want to push, and you don't maybe have any Labradors or anything in your drop, or if it's a slower game and you want to go into that later, you can use this. This just says on hit, return something to your hand, and then play something from your hand, give it 3k. So it's a nice way to push for decent damage early on. And that's the deck. There isn't really too much in terms of like adjustments that you can play. I play a lot more prisons. Some people take these Rosa spots and they play the like resist cards instead, because when they get returned to hand you can draw also, so that is an option. I just rather like having more prisms to make sure that I get the crit from Labrador, because I really like Labrador. But you can definitely change it out to make it a little bit more consistent. Alright, let's see if we can get an actual game and we can actually show this off. Link Joker is kind of rough, not gonna lie. So we'll see what we can make happen here. I don't think it's our worst matchup, but it's definitely not a fun matchup, especially if it's the leaders and they remove stuff from our drop. We don't like that a lot. Let's, I guess, put back the Spica. I wanted to put back the Labrador, but I think I dropped another one. It's fine. I think if you see this starter, it implies Chaos, right? Yeah, because it's a Star Raider. Chaos is a little bit annoying, because it makes you play stuff from hand as lock, so you might lose one of your, or might be maybe forced to play one of your more important pieces. I removed the resist just because, again, I wanted the consistency, but it is good with all of the Kagura that's running out there, as well as now Kami and all that other stuff, but they also have the remove resist guy, right? So that is a little bit annoying sometimes. Let's move this camera a little bit here, just so it's a little bit more centered. I have a new lens, which is cool. This is not the new lens, this is the old lens actually. But I do have a new lens, which is nice, and it actually, lets me get a wider view, which is really nice for when I'm recording like tabletop stuff. So there's this video I did a while back where I was, vert and drop is nice, where I was doing, I would like one in hand, where I was doing a, like, I was just playing Vanguard with my fiance, but the view was a little bit construed. Now that's not the case anymore. I actually have a much wider view, so I'll probably start doing more videos like that. In general, it just opens up the door for a couple of things, where I just have a wider lens where I can actually see more, right? It's very good. His hand is not looking the best, to be honest, and the fact that I am going to overdraw is also very disappointing. Losing another PG is also not very good. It is at least the Letty, so that is okay. I could go into Lures here, but that's kind of pointless, because the thing is, like, I can go here into Labrador and have a less Labrador if I get Vert to break right over it. But going to Lures doesn't matter, because I have to do that anyways, unless I manage to get the Vert. And all my other stuff needs a present, so I might as well go into this just in case I flub up and forget that. Considering we've gone 2 PGs and we're pretty late in the game, I doubt I'm going to be able to swing in at face. So let's go ahead and sacrifice Rihon here. I don't really want to play much else. I wish I could. Well, I can technically return this back to hand so it doesn't get locked. We'll see what happens. They're more than likely going to go into that stride that locks it back on the front row, so this is going to get locked, which is not the worst thing. That kind of sucks. Another vert goes to the drop. It kind of sucks, but it's not the worst thing in the world. I don't really need my back row. She's just nice to like bounce stuff. If they lock the rehome though, that would be kind of annoying. So they're gonna go into this thing, forgot the name. Dinosaur, right. They're not gonna lead it, instead they're going to break right into that thing I was talking about. So they'll just swing into the rehome or play the photon, I guess, if they really want to. But more than likely, they'll just swing into the rehome and then go ahead and lock my back row. It sucks, but it's fine. And they're also going to push me to 5, which is also pretty unfortunate. It does mean I can try to smack them. Oof, good thing. Hitting heal there, coming back from 2 would be difficult. It does mean I can maybe smack him if I can get into a vert, but considering I've lost 2, it's looking a little bit rough here. No, did not get the vert. It's fine. I can't stride into vert just yet. I do wish I had a better drop, but I can at least put back Labrador into my deck. Yeah, I just wish I had a better drop. So I could put back like a Celtic or something, but it's fine. We still have to activate our GB2, or are you on GB1? Maybe you're only on GB1. No, you don't even care. You're just on limit break. But either way, we don't want to go into that just yet. The opponent's at 3, and I want to hold out and see if I can break right here. We might not see a photon, so I guess I can play this. Let's also play this and maybe play this. Let's go ahead and use your skill here. Draw into that. Okay. So we'll just give it to these 2. We'll return this one to our hand. I don't know. I want to return everything to my hand. To be honest. But I can't really do that. So let's go ahead and return this to our hand. Just so they don't lock our back row. We have to do this. We don't have to do that one. I guess I should have, because I could have gotten rid of the clear and put that back, but it's fine. Alright, not hitting a draw is nice. Not hitting those PGs is a bit unfortunate. But that's okay. We are at 5. We have 2 heal guards. So we'll see how this goes. We'll probably get stomped on, which is a bit unfortunate, but if I had played 2 intercepts, I feel like they're just going to get locked, and I'm going to lose some prisons. So I'm kind of screwed no matter what. Because I believe this locks back row and front row. So these 2 are going to get locked, and they're just going to swing in and pound my face. So I kind of just have to hope for a heal here. Because either way, I believe this would have been... No, this actually is 25. Okay. So maybe if I played another intercept... but I would have to overcall the Labrador, which kind of would have sucked. We'll see. Do we have any heals here? We do have 2 heals left in deck. There is hope. To call out. Okay. So now, alright, so that's what I'm saying, because that's 26. So if I had put another intercept here, they would have swung in, popped the intercept, swung in, and then swung in here, and I wouldn't be able to heal guard this last attack, because it would have been too big. So no matter what, I have to get a heal, and it gets 2k boost, so even with the 5k, I was screwed, right? And unfortunately, Link Joker doesn't really give me a lot of room to play around with. I could have tried to go for the vert. Maybe search out my deck, like the vert stride is maybe what I should have done. Search out my deck some more. And do a little bit something, but fortunately that's gonna do it. We could try and go for another game. Let's see if we can maybe do another game. I'd like to at least win one, or at least be able to show off the combo, is what I'd like to do. Okay, so we're up against Kagero. Kind of getting our ass beat here, to be honest. But we can actually make do with what we've got here. Let's go actually immediately into Vert here. So that's, I guess, one of the strengths of this, is that you don't have to be on Generation Break 2, as you might expect here. Let's see if we can... Ooh, okay, that's actually good, because I was afraid I was going to end up checking my last Labrador, but we actually drew it, which is perfectly fine. We can actually attack with it, bounce it to hand, and then ride it, which is good. So let's actually use this, even though it's really good to have this gal out there, because you can't be retired. We actually would like to maybe... see if we can... do I have another PG? I do have 2 PGs, so it's possible I might be able to do something with this, but it's a little rough for me to be able to do that. So let's just go to battle here. We're gonna swing in here, hopefully hit at least 1 draw trigger. We're gonna swing in here, get a draw trigger, which is very nice, and a vert, and we can discard, which is good. Another draw trigger for a vert, very good. Let's power up this here, this Letty. He's gonna lose a PG, which is good. We're gonna ourselves discard. I have to call out 3 prisms, so I have to keep this. So we'll discard, I guess, the 3 of you. Yeah. Discard the 3 of them. So as much as I really need Rehone, and I'm probably going to still end up losing this, but as much as I really need Rehone, I don't think I'm going to be able to actually make use of her. Then we can Break Rod into Labrador here. Draw 2. Then from the Break Ride, get 10k, draw an additional card, swing in, use the Break Ride skill here to call out... I don't have another prison. That's a bit unfortunate there. So I'm not going to be able to get a crit. But what I can do is I can put this here. How do I do these columns? Let me put this here, put this here. Since I have to discard. I guess I could technically put this back to my hand if I really wanted to. That is going to be nice there. We can try and see if we can make a column here. With this 21, okay, no, punish. We can swing in here, return this back to hand. We could have swung in with this also, gotten an extra draw, which actually might have been a little bit better because we're probably going to get Novel Vagged next turn. Ooh, PG out. And then we swing in 29. Of course, they had the, oop, they had the Heal Guard. I was going to say, of course, they had the, what's it called? The Conroe to get that PG, but instead it was a Heal Guard. So let's see what happens here. If they do go for the Novel, I might be okay. Overall, not looking too great here. They're gonna have to Arc Strike here. 2 red choose, okay. And it's not, it's actually gonna be the Titan here. They went into that first strike, so they should be able to retire, I guess, 3. So they can do 3 damage, but I can block those 2 last attacks, I believe. Even with his power scaling, I think I should be okay, but we'll see. He's not gonna retire my whole board, huh? Oh, just 1? Oh, just 1. Oh, he flipped the... he flipped the Messiah the first time, I guess. Okay, sure. So he's gonna retire that with the back row. Or use that to retire the back row. Okay, so I guess he has PGs in hand, is what he's trying to tell me here. This is going to get 4k, so these 2 attacks are going to be able to hit. Push me to 5 here. I do have the Spica in hand, so since they left me that Letty, I can go into Olivia here and end this. We got Heal Guard for that, thankfully. And we hit the draw, so that doesn't actually, or the heal I should say, so that doesn't hit. We're actually going to get a Rosa, which is good. I actually needed that. So now we can go ahead and Stride. We have 3 different cards that you can bring back, which is very good. We also have a Prism Heart, so Letty does activate. So we can... I can do this a number of ways, to be honest. I don't know if there's a way that I can do this that I can make sure that I hit through. But let's go ahead and just play down you 3 for now. What I can do is swing. It doesn't really matter too much. Swing in here. Bring this back to hand. Call this out. Swinging with this. Swing in with Olivia. Bring back these 3 cards. Olivia will get her crits. I'll call out these 2. Could call it in any order I really wanted to. Because I could have just put Speaker here, return this, but it doesn't make a difference. Hopefully this goes through. Alright. Because they can still maybe heal. Let's see. Yeah, they do have some heals left. It's a bit annoying. Swing in here, return this back to my hand. And then call out the Celtic here. And then Celtic can ping, I guess, you to get extra power. Not that it really matters, fortunately. And hopefully that's Speaker for game. And that's actually a game. Thank God, we won one. See? Deck's not completely garbage. Take care of yourself.